Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at 6 Strings 9 Lives, back for a follow-up to my last video. Honestly, I had such a blast pulling 10 of my favorite newer thrash albums from older thrash bands. I thought maybe possibly we could continue this series, and today we will take a look at 10 of my favorite newer, it's just metal, favorite albums. Traditional couple bands here touching on US power metal. Kind of explain as I go. These aren't death metal bands. They're not thrash metal bands. They're not glam metal bands. No European power metal in this batch. And I probably will continue with things like that too. As I said, I got a couple more ideas as far as keeping this going. It's nice to show and talk about a few albums, without buying something. And always great to hear from you guys in the comments. So what I mean about newer, in case you missed that last video, the year 2000 to today, all these bands started off in the 80s. Again, lots of them had multiple lineup changes. And in the case of two of these bands, they're currently are not going anymore because deaths of key members. There's one band that we'll talk about today is kind of in a limbo or a bit of a hiatus. We can talk about that. I gotta get some of your input on this band. But yeah, these bands have all started off in the 80s. All 8 out of 10 of them, I should say, are still going today. And like I said, a couple aren't going, and you probably will know for sure which of those key members have passed on. So today we're just gonna dig right into these 10. Let me know your thoughts. What are some of these, favorite bands of yours? I'm sure you're aware of most of them. Probably don't listen to them all. But, yeah, let me know in the comments what your newer favorites from these 10 bands are. So we're going to start off today spinning a little King Diamond in the background, and in anticipation of the brand new King Diamond album, hopefully this year, called The Institute. It's been 15 years since his last album. But here is my favorite of the 2000s to today album. This is King Diamond's 11th overall studio album called The Puppet Master. I know a lot of fans are, they're really, I wouldn't say stuck on, but they really mention the first 4 to 5 albums a lot. But there is other really good King Diamond albums out there, and this is one of them. The Puppet Master from 2003. And as per my last video, I'm just going to name off, 3 to 4 favorite tracks for you to check out if you haven't heard this album before. Or again, let me know. Maybe this isn't your favorite newer King Diamond album, and let me know what is. So the title track, actually the opener, Midnight. The title track, The Puppet Master. But a couple of my really favorite songs on here are Blue Eyes and Magic. Magic is Magic. Check it out. That is King Diamond's 11th studio album. Waiting for that 13th album to come out here soon. Hopefully we do see that this year. Next up, we'll go with some vinyl. I got a little bit of a mixture here today. So this is the band I was referring to that's kind of in limbo, and you're going to know why right away. But this is my favorite of the newer era of Metal Church, but unfortunately we lost Mike Howe last year. Rest in peace, Mike. But this is Damned If You Do, their 2018 release and last studio album to feature Mike. I don't know what Kurt... they had the Vault, or From the Vault came out, was kind of a compilation of, a couple older tracks, couple live tracks, but I don't know if Kurt has anything, on tape with Mike still. I do not know. But here's a band that I would love to see continue, and we'll talk about that in a second. But tracks that I love, my absolute favorite track on here is... losing my train of thought. Revolution Underway. Awesome song. Damned If You Do, great lead or title track. The Black Things by The Numbers. That was also a video too. So if you have not checked out, actually, like, and any of the past two Metal Church where Mike has rejoined the band, which is 11 or XI or whatever it's called. Great album too, but this is my favorite of the 2000s. And I wouldn't sleep on the Ronnie Monroe era. There's 4 albums from that period that are really good too. So if you are, you know, if you think you've got all the Metal Church you need, I would say still check out. I think my favorite is, out of the Ronnie era, is This Present Wasteland. Go check that one out. Okay, so thoughts on, you know, is Metal Church going to continue? I hope they do, guys. I really do. You know, I would love to see a guy like, you know, Todd LaTorre, but I know Todd is, you know, pretty happy with his involvement with Queensryche and his awesome solo album from last year. So another thought I had, and let me know if I'm out to lunch here, but Todd Michael Hall also just worked with Kurt Vanderhoof on his solo album. That was more of a rock and roll, straightforward rock album, but Todd, you know, is also the current vocalist of Riot 5 or Riot V. I think with his range and things, he would be a really good fit for Metal Church. Or does Kurt go out and get an unknown? Or does Ronnie come back? Give me your thoughts on Metal Church. Just would love to see them continue. I mean, Kurt is such a great songwriter. And I would just, you know, I'd kind of be sad if they weren't around anymore. So, all right, let's move on to, what was it? 2020, Armored Saint came out with a brand new album called Punching the Sky. I thought right off the bat, man, this is the best thing they've done since Symbol of Salvation. But, you know, as time went on, like, yeah, it's a good album, but it's not better than this one as far as I'm concerned. This is Armored Saint's 5th overall studio album from 2000. And first after 9 years. So this is 9 years after Symbol of Salvation. This is called Revelation. Yes, Revelation. And this is the lineup from Symbol of Salvation. If you've not heard this album, this is, to me, a really good mix of... It's actually heavier than Symbol of Salvation, in my opinion. It is just a kind of a perfect mix of kind of modern Armored Saint and, you know, back in the March of the Saint, Delirious Nomad mix. But do check this one out. Here's the back cover, released on Metal Blade. And key tracks, The Pillar. There is a video for that. If you punch up The Pillar, what a song that is. Lead off track, Pay Dirt. Creepy Feelings. And one of my favorite tracks on this album is called Deep Rooted Anger. You know, produced by Joey Vera, which, you know, Joey Vera has his hand in a lot of things. And actually, he is going to be the live bass player for the Merciful Fate, you know, reunited tour. But, you know, you only have King and, you know, I don't know. It's, you need Denner and Sherman as far as I'm concerned. And I've told you that before, but whatever. It's still good to see them out on the road. But do check out some Armored Saint. They don't have a lot of output, but what they've put out overall is pretty damn good. All right, let's go to, I had mentioned too that a couple of these bands have key members that have passed on. Here's one of them, and of course, you know, Ronnie James Dio, rest in peace. But today I'm going to show you my favorite of the newer, the 2000s on. This one's from 2002 called Killing the Dragon. Some of Ronnie's later work to me is just, you know, I love his voice. I'm definitely not going to harp on him for that. But some of them are lacking a little oomph. This one's not. This is, and this is a unique album. This one is the only album to feature Doug Ulrich on guitar. And there was a couple albums in between here, Magica and what else? Angry Machines, that were a little more darker sounding. To me, this one brought back a lot of those elements from the first 4 albums. As far as I'm concerned, the guitar work is excellent. Yeah, I absolutely love the first 4 albums. And then this one really reminds me of that energy from there. But do check this one out from 2000 and, what did I say? 2002. And only, like I said, only one to feature Doug Ulrich, which you would know him from Whitesnake fame, the Dead Daisies. But Killing the Dragon, the title track, awesome. Along Came a Spider. A couple of my favorites on here, Push, brilliant song, and track 8, Throwaway Children. Killing the Dragon. So if you haven't given some later Dio a chance, give that one a whirl. Next up, well, we'll continue with, you know, deceased icons, whatever you want to say. But Lost Lemmy in 2015, but, and you know their catalog. Massive catalog, Motorhead, 22, 23, I think 22 studio albums. Couple classic lineups as far as I'm concerned is the, you know, the initial classic lineup, and then this era of the band. This is their 17th studio album from 2004. And my favorite from that era is called Inferno. Always the cool artwork here with Motorhead, Snaggletooth. But there, you know what? There is a lot of really good stuff in the 2000s with Motorhead. And believe it or not, even after 2004, they continued on to do 5 more studio albums, you know, before, you know, Lemmy passed away. But this one, to me, overall, or what I'll say too, sometimes an album will have this really, really heavy song that sets off the pace for the album and maybe gives you a bit of an illusion that it's just heavy throughout. This one starts off that way, but it kind of tones itself down, and really a good mix of early Motorhead and kind of this era with, you know, Mickey D and Phil. But check out the lead-off track, Terminal Show. It's, you know, I always remember Lemmy saying, we just play rock and roll, but there's some serious metal in here. And to me, Motorhead's always been a metal band to me. I don't know for you too. Of course, rock and roll, metal, you know. Terminal Show, great song. Killers, equally as heavy, I'd say. And what a couple other tracks that I really like. In the Year of the Wolf, check that one out too. But definitely, if you only check out one track from this album, Terminal Show, super, yeah, just throttle down, super heavy, great drumming by Mickey D, you know, and Lemmy's Lemmy, and great guitar playing by Phil. What's next? We'll go with, and I said earlier in the video, there's some of these bands that have long hiatuses, and here is one of them. But they came back 14 years later, and this is still my favorite of the newer 5 Accept albums. This is Blood of the Nations. Reformed a band with Mark Tonelio on vocals. And, you know, of course, Wolf and Peter are still in the band at this time. Actually, there's some band photos there too. But yeah, great album. Was happy to see Accept back, you know, after, like I said, 14-year hiatus. I was still, you know, getting those UDO albums in my, you know, into my collection. So I was always happy that Udo Dirkschneider was still out there too. But if you have not checked out the newer 5 albums, I mean, last year's Too Mean to Die, great album. Check out favorite tracks, Teutonic Terror, Beat the Bastards. And my favorite track on this one is called Pandemic, which is definitely suiting for these times. Hopefully that's over soon, but there is Accept's 2010 album, still going strong to this day. And I had alluded to this guy earlier, Udo Dirkschneider, and this is, geez, they have their 17th studio album came out this past year called Game Over, but this is my favorite still of the new era. This is the 11th overall studio album from UDO called Masticutor. Just a solid album. touch of cheese in there, you know, with the lyrics, things like that, but I couldn't give a shit. I love it. Check out some tracks. The title track, Masticator, first single called Wrong Side of Midnight. Excellent song. One Lone Voice. And I'd say Vendetta would be another good one to check out. And there's, like I said, there's a couple, you know, cheese. There's a track called Crash Bang Crash. You know, kind of, like I said, a touch on the cheesy lyrics, but whatever. Do check out some new UDO. Let me know your favorites of the kind of the 2000s on with UDO. Have we missed anything over here? Okay, now we're going to wrap this one up with, I guess you would call this kind of my big three with just traditional metal. I always look forward to albums by these bands. One of these bands is my favorite band. Yeah, like I said, probably top two. I mean, top four would be Accept and then these three. So let's start off with this one because this band has a brand new album coming out tomorrow, February 4th, 2022. Their 23rd studio album. Yeah, you wouldn't count Inspirations. When I do rankings or such, or you know, discographies, I don't count covers albums or compilations. So, but this is currently my favorite of the modern era of Saxon. But I'm going to tell you one thing. They, to me, from the 2000s till today, they have an underrated catalog. You shouldn't, don't let it pass you by. There are some fantastic albums in there, and it was really hard to choose of which one I would show you today because there's a lots that are close. But here is 2004's Lionheart, probably one of their heaviest albums. I would say that, and Sacrifice. Those two would be kind of their heaviest. Little maybe Metalhead a little bit, The Inner Sanctum, but this one just solid album produced by Charlie Bauerfeind, which you would be familiar with. Lots of European like power metal. Charlie produced the brand new Halloween from last year too. Check out some of my favorite tracks. Witchfinder General starts off super heavy. Man and Machine, and then there's a little intro called The Return that goes into the title track called Lionheart. Definitely check that one out. And another one of my favorites is To Live by the Sword. So I am definitely looking forward to the brand new Saxon, you know, tomorrow. I do have it on pre-order. I hope it shows up, you know, close to that time. Like I said, 23rd studio album called Carpe Diem. 2 singles out, actually 3 singles. Actually, just before I pressed record on, I seen the Pilgrimage, the 3rd single. I'm gonna have to take a look at that right after I'm done with this. But yeah, let me know if you're looking forward to the new Saxon too. Next up, we will go with my favorite of the 2000s of Iron Maiden is still this album. There's a couple that are, well, one that is close, I would say, and maybe we'll save that for another video, but this is Brave New World from 2000. You all know this album. I don't have to talk too much about it, but I remember being super excited that a couple things I was excited for is that Bruce and Adrian were coming back. And at the time, I thought, you know, well, what are they going to do with Yannick? And they turned into a, you know, a three guitar band, six members. I always remember, I don't know if you remember, probably you do, but the Scorpions, when Klaus would grab a guitar and they'd be all lined up on stage, and I thought, oh, 3 guitar players and a bass player, that looks really cool. But anyways, back to this album, still my favorite of the last, whatever, 5 or 6 Iron Maiden albums. 5, 6, whatever. But this one, to me, is, there's not much for weak tracks on here. They're all very solid. The Wicker Man, I think, was the first single. A few of my favorites on here, for sure. Blood Brothers, Out of the Silent Planet, love that song. Nomad, or The Nomad, and the title track, Brave New World, really good. So let me know, is this your favorite of the newer Iron Maiden. I know there's a lot of people that really like A Matter of Life and Death, and I do too. But so we will wrap this video up with my favorite band, which is Judas Priest. We all know the story. Rob Halford came back in 2005. The Angel of Retribution, to me, was a solid album. Then went into the concept album Nostradamus, which is, it's better than people give it credit for what it is. It's you know, it's a big story. It's a whole thing. It's a kind of one of those albums that you have to really focus on listening to it. But, and then, anyways, right into this album. We all know what I'm going to show, but this is the best thing Judas Priest has done in the 2000s and forward. I mean, God, they started off the 2000s. I think 2001 Demolition came out, and it was only uphill from there, put it that way. So, but this is, to me, still a modern masterpiece, I will say. Love this album and really looking forward to something new from Judas Priest, I hope. I'm pretty sure they got at least one more album in them, but, you know, I was talking with a friend, actually just today, you know, these guys are getting up in age. There isn't many years left, you know, and we will see a lot of them dropping off here in the next, probably, you know, 3 to 5 years. Hate to say it, but it's inevitable, retirement and just, you know, the, you know, stress of, or, you know, we're all getting older. I mean, it's even myself in the morning nowadays, it's one step at a time. I'm not running up and down anymore, but Firepower, favorite tracks. Well, the leadoff track is excellent. Lightning Strike, Evil Never Dies, Rise from Ruins, Traitor's Gate. You all know this album, but this is my favorite of the 2000s of Judas Priest. Let me know some of your favorites. Let me know. I reminded you enough. It's whatever. Yeah, let me know. There's a few bands on the list that you didn't see today. I know one that comes to mind that probably, I'm going to tell you, I had a tough time thinking if they could make this list, and the band is Wasp. I'm the first 4 albums Wasp guy. After that, honestly, I struggle with their catalog. I'm not saying it's shit, but I can't think of an album that would outright be one of my favorites, put it that way. There's good material, but is it a favorite of mine? I don't know. Let me know some other bands that I might have missed, or you know, probably could be in my collection. But hope you enjoyed that one. Like I said, I got a couple ideas for a couple more videos with this series, but any ideas are always appreciated. Comments, thank you as always for watching, and until next time, stay heavy.